Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Today's show is going to be extra special because our guest, we're having Jim Barnett join us again. He'll come in the second segment, so make sure you stay tuned. Also, at each commercial break, we're going to be asking a sports trivia question where we're giving away vacations to the first three emails with the correct answer. Vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina. And those vacations are free. Their only request a $75 cleaning fee to cover the housekeeping expenses. Check them out, lighthouseresortandmarina.com. Today's trivia theme, in honor of the finals that are coming up, basketball, of course. All right, and Bruce, you want to mention anything before we get Jim on the line?
Well, I just want to say that Jim Barnett has been a former NBA player for 10 years and a current broadcaster for the Warriors for 25, and it's a pleasure to have him on, and we're going to talk some hoops with him in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah, and it's extra special because now the Warriors are finally in. First time in, 40 years?
Well, they're in the conference. They made it to the conference finals as we speak. When the show airs, we don't know where they will be. At least right now, it looks pretty good that they might get to the finals opposite probably Cleveland, but we'll see.
Yeah, this is Tuesday that we're recording. It's okay to tell everyone that.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that injury by Curry last night, we were talking about it. That if that happened at our age, we'd be out for about 6 months.
Definitely.
He'll bounce back. Eventually, it was amazing. Right after the first shot, where he threw an air ball, another shot, not so good, and after that, boom, right on target again.
Yep.
And it definitely would be great for basketball to have LeBron against Curry.
Oh, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah. Very, very good for basketball. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding, get this, over 8% secured by Bay Area real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. You got to check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us because when we come back from our commercial break, we're going to have Jim Barnett, the Golden State Warriors broadcaster. Stay with us. You are listening to Sports Econ 101. All right, so let me go ahead and save this file, and then we'll get right into it.
Busy day, huh, Jim? You did one show. You're doing another one coming up, huh?
I've done 2 shows already today.
Oh, my goodness. There you go.
They keep coming.
Yeah, that's good, though.
You save your voice.
I've got it all down.
Yeah, you do have it down.
By the way, I want to tell you, if you ever want to edit your thing there,
yeah.
I played 11 years in the league, and now I've been broadcasting the Warriors for 13 years.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what?
Okay.
Go ahead and correct us on the air.
I'll correct myself.
Don't go back and do it now.
No.
I don't give a damn. But I was 11 years in the league.
11 years in the league. Gotcha.
Because I was going to leave last year. This is my 30th year.
Wow.
That's okay. You know what? You could.
I thought it was close to 30, but I didn't want to.
You didn't bring it up.
No. That's great. The guy who does the Rockets has been on radio. Has been doing it a long time too. What's his name? I heard him on with Colbert the other day. The guy who's been doing it for about 20.
Oh, Ralph Lawler.
Yeah, Ralph Lawler. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was my high school radio announcer.
Is that
wow.
Right? Wow.
Okay, ready? Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, why don't you reintroduce our guest?
Yeah, Jim Barnett is a former NBA player, played 11 years in the league, played with the Warriors, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Rockets, the Knicks, 76ers, played with some of the greats, Dr. J, Rick Barry, Pistol Pete Maravich, and he's been broadcasting for the Warriors. This is his 30th year as the TV color analyst, and it's a pleasure to have you aboard, Jim. And I got to ask you, as we tape this show, it's still we are getting ready to face Game 4 of Game 5 actually of the NBA Conference Finals, Warriors in Houston. What's your make of what this postseason has been like? Because there've been a lot of injuries, but a lot of exciting, unpredictable games.
Well, it's always that way, and you never know what's going to happen. For the Warriors, it started in Game 3 when the Warriors got down, and they were down by, I believe, it's been so long ago, but I think it was down 19 points going into the fourth quarter. Pardon me, but then Steph Curry and company gets hot, and they force an overtime, and he ends up with 40 points in that game, and then they finish him off and sweep that series, and he gets 39 the next game. So the last 2 games, Curry had 13 threes made, and he scored 79 points in the 2 games, and they swept and went on to Memphis, and then got down 2-1 in that series, and then won 3 straight games. And until last night, Monday night in Houston, when they lost Game 4 in that Western Conference Finals series, they'd won 6 straight games. They won the last 3 against Memphis, and they won the first 3 against Houston, and they looked like they were handling everything. But that's why you play a 7-game series, and Houston is in there. They're not a bad team because they beat the Clippers and came back from a 3-1 deficit to earn the right to play in the Western Conference Finals, and that's what it is. So, it's unpredictable. You never know exactly what's going to happen. I would agree with you. The Warriors are on the inside track to go to the NBA Finals, and I would say definitely it's going to be Cleveland from the East. They've been handling Atlanta very, very easily. But it's a very intriguing team, the Warriors are. I think they're the most interesting team in the NBA as well as the most exciting.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm a big Warrior fan, but I was actually rooting for Houston on Monday night just because I wanted to see more basketball. So I guess I'm more of a basketball fan than, it gets more exciting when it's like that.
Steve Kerr understands that. I mean, I don't think he was happy with the first quarter, but Houston had been so bad from three-point range. In the 3 previous games, they were 20 for 70 from three-point range, and then all of a sudden in the first quarter last night, they go 8 for 9 and scored 45 points, and the Warriors got behind the 8 ball. They're down 23 at the end of the first quarter, but Steve he really says the right things, and he knows how to manage people. And sure enough, at halftime, they were only down 10 points, and they battled the rest of the way. And almost lost Steph Curry. They did for a while, but that could have been a very, very serious thing, which would derail everything that the Warriors have been working toward after having an incredible regular season at 67-15. But Curry fortunately landed about as good as you could, even though there was a possibility of a concussion. And he didn't break a shoulder, he didn't break an elbow, didn't break his arm, didn't bruise his hip. As far as I know, and he came back and played in the game, which is very, very interesting. But they had to go through the concussion policy protocol that the NBA set, and they're not going to put him back in the game unless he's healthy. So hopefully there are no repercussions from all of that, and they're back in business here and have a Game 5 tomorrow and close it out.
Yeah, he could have easily broken his wrist on that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, I got a question for you about Dwight Howard, and again, by the time the show airs, we'll already know what the answer is. But the flagrant foul on Bogut. I mean, Bogut really pushed him hard to begin with, and then he kind of throws that elbow.
Right.
Do you, in your opinion, especially what happened with Horford in the Cleveland Atlanta game, I just can't see them throwing Howard out for Game 5.
Well, they didn't do it. Joey Crawford, who's the most tenured official in the league, was there on working the game. He decided it was a flagrant 1. Then they go back to Secaucus, New Jersey, where Steve Jaffe, a longtime official, and he said in his mind it was a flagrant 2, but it's very subjective. Now, I don't know what they're doing in the NBA office today looking at that. It wouldn't surprise me if they upgraded it to a flagrant 2, and that means he would miss the next game because he's already over the limit there. But I hope they don't. I don't think anybody in the organization wants them to play the game without Dwight Howard. They feel they can beat them with their full squad, and I don't think they're going to change it. But by rule, if you want to look at it, by rule, it's pretty similar to the Horford thing, and they kicked Horford out. The NBA and the officials are so afraid of offending the league office and not doing the right thing and to get indecisive, because I really think sometimes when Taj Gibson got kicked out, when he got tackled up and tangled up with Dellavedova, I don't think he should have been kicked out of the game. He was holding his leg there with the other 2 legs, and he just kind of kicked it free. I don't know. Okay, you want to give a flagrant 1, fine. But they're so afraid of fights and everything. It's very, very different than when I played in the league. And to me, they sometimes overreact. These guys, sometimes I see fouls called with Bogut and Howard are going at it, and the ball wasn't even going into Howard. And they're just battling a little bit. Well, that's part of the game. Let the big guys decide that.
Exactly.
So,
Let's let them play.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but whatever they decide, we'll all have to live with.
Yeah, it's very emotional and it's very intense at this time of the year with so much at stake. And I got to ask you, harkening back to preseason when the Warriors came into this year with a new coach, with a team that had really done a great job last year under Mark Jackson. A lot of us were saying, Jim, if the Warriors can make the conference finals, wouldn't that be something? That would be quite, something to shoot for. And it doesn't seem that unrealistic because they've been to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Did you feel that with this team and looking at them and what they had, that this seemed like a realistic prospect to you?
Yes, because they pushed Clippers to 7 games last year without Andrew Bogut in any of those games. The year before, they could have come back after they upset Denver, and then they went and played 2 games in San Antonio. They lost, a 22-point lead or something. They could have come back, and they split that first 2 games. They could have come back 2-0 in that series. And so you could see the signs that were coming, and then Klay Thompson's going to have another year of experience, and he had a terrific all-star year this year, and getting to the free throw line much more often than he was in the previous years. His game's developing. Steph Curry just keeps getting better. Steph Curry has been so incredible this year. He gets better every month, and he's playing and making history right now in the playoffs. Up until the loss last night, the Warriors had won 6 straight games, the final 3 against Memphis, and the first 3 against Houston. And Steph Curry, in those 6 games, had a game of 40, had 4 games of 32 or more. And his 1 game that was off, he only scored 18, but he only took 3-point shots and he made 6.
Those are Jim Barnett numbers.
And that was going to win. And, I mean, this guy, he's been averaging until last night because he couldn't play the whole game, but he still got 23 and shot 6 of 13 from threes. He's averaging essentially 30 points in the playoff series, in the 3 series. He's been unbelievable, and his 3-point percentage in the Houston series, he's shooting over 50%. In the Houston series, he's 24 of 44 from 3-point range, and over the last 6 games, he has made 42, I believe, 42 3-point shots. So he's averaging 6-7 threes, made threes a game. And he's a marked man.
That's the thing, is they're contested.
Good defenses against him and hold him and so forth. And it's the same thing with Harden. These guys are superstars, and you can't stop them. But Curry is the most incredible of all, and everybody loves him. Even the opponents, you can see that, and the opposition, the fans. There are a lot of people that can't help but root for him, and they're amazed at what he does. And it's interesting about him. His stats on the road are better than they are at home. And he likes to play on the road, and he converts people on the road to his game. He's a remarkable person and one incredible player like I've never seen before. I've never been so high on Steph Curry as to see what he's doing in the playoffs.
Hey, Jim, stay with us. We're going to get to our first commercial break. I would love to be Jim Barnett right now, being able to be for the Warriors. You're right there. You get to watch it.
Well, he's on the inside. He's on the inside seeing it, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, after all the bad years,
all the bad years. That's what I'm
and they had a lot of them.
Okay, now I should have made these questions a lot harder because last time we had Jim on, he answered them.
Okay.
These are a little too easy.
Okay, but don't answer them right away.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, who played his entire 14 seasons with the Detroit Pistons, scoring 16,401 points and 1,388 steals? The first 3 emails with correct answer are going to win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Email edward@sportsecon101.com. The answer to that question, don't touch this dial because Sports Econ 101 will be right back.
So Jim, that's got to be either Dave Bing or Isaiah Thomas? What do you think?
What was the question? How many years? 16?
For 14 seasons.
14 seasons.
14 seasons with the Pistons.
I'm going to say, was Thomas
And
with
how
him?
many points did he score?
16,000 something?
16,000. Call it 16,400 points.
Yeah, I would think Dave Bing too.
Hold on here.
All right, get the second segment.
I don't think it's Isaiah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
30th.
Time goes by fast, Jim, when you're having a good time.
Yeah. And I know you got to go, so we're gonna just
Do one more segment,
Yeah, one more
get you out of
segment.
here.
We'll get you out.
Appreciate this, Jim.
Yeah.
You're a good man.
Yeah, you must have having a lot of fun.
I don't quite understand how this works, so you can't just start the next segment now. Yes.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm saving the file to a thumb drive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little different than
Just
regular
takes
radio.
it, yeah.
It's radio, but it's recorded onto.
And then
I'm gonna break it to you gently. I've never heard the show. What radio station is it on?
Okay.
Well, it's on a bunch of them. I mean, if you just Googled Sports Econ 101, it's through Ron Barr's group, Sports Byline USA.
He's funny. I hardly ever listen to radio.
If you go to the internet,
I don't listen to 95.7 the game. I should more, but I don't.
if you go on the internet and just Google Sports Econ 101, you go to the website. You can listen to any of the shows. They're archived, but it's also on iHeart Radio, and it's a podcast, so it's all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you make money?
Yeah, kind of like
a labor of
trade
love.
dollars.
My main business is real estate and financial.
Yeah, Edward pays me in trade dollars, which is nice. I get hotel rooms for my wife and me. That's nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Once
You guys
a
ready?
week, yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. When we got to the first commercial break, we asked this basketball trivia question. Who played his entire 14 seasons with the Detroit Pistons, scoring 16,401 points and 1,388 steals?
I think it was a guy who started his career a little before Jim and ended it about the same time. Dave Bing?
No, it would be Joe Dumars.
Joe Dumars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we went by your stumped on that one.
no, you did. He was a great defensive player. Okay.
So we have on the air, not in the studio, but on the phone, Jim Barnett, Warriors broadcaster, play-by-play.
Actually, he's the color announcer on television.
There we go. Well, oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's right. You do the TV, not so much on the radio there.
No.
But
He does radio shows too.
it's I got to say that in all the years, the Warriors, since you started doing this 30 years ago, they didn't really have too many good teams. It was exciting when Baron Davis, against Dallas and all that. But I mean, this season's just a magical one.
Can you talk a little bit about what it's like, Jim, to be a part of that? Because as we were watching this unfold, it reminds me a lot of the first team I ever got to cover, which was the 74-75 team. I was just out of college, and they won the Cinderella NBA title with Rick Barry and Clifford Ray and Jamal Wilkes and a bunch of guys that nobody had ever heard of. And in some respects, there's a similarity between that team and this team because there's a togetherness there, a group of guys that really get along well with each other.
Guys, it's overrated and they're very boring, don't you think?
Yeah, they sure are.
I'll tell you what, it's been a magical season. These young players, they're still so very young, but they're so mature. They are so sacrificial. They really sacrifice for the team. They've got great leadership from starting with Steve Kerr and his coaching staff, who were absolutely marvelous. And then you've got your team leader in Steph Curry. You couldn't find a better individual to lead a team.
Yeah, and you get someone like you have like someone like David Lee, who pretty much lost his starting spot.
Yep.
You also have Iguodala, who was an all-star, just taking a back seat. It really is amazing how they just, like you said, they're just playing as a team. I think one of the things I appreciate with the youngsters here is the speed, and it's amazing when you have that much speed. I mean, that takes the game to a whole new level.
Well, they love to get out in the open court, but it starts with their defense. And if they play good defense, they convert that to their offense very well. That's when they're most dangerous, and that's when they can get wide open threes for Steph Curry. Also, for Klay Thompson, who's a much better shooter when he doesn't have to put the ball on the floor. If he can catch and shoot, I've never seen a better catch and shoot player.
Yeah.
And he's oblivious to any defender that's near him. He's got length, height, and he's got tremendous concentration on the basket. But it does start with their defense, and you go back to David Lee, and yes, he's made a sacrifice. Unfortunate for him, he hurt his hamstring, and Draymond Green got the call, and Draymond Green somehow fits perfectly with this club. He's the escape valve and the safety valve when Steph Curry comes down the floor and gets blitzed, double teamed. So he's had a big responsibility. He's really grown into that role. He catches the ball up at the top, and he can take a three. He worked on his three-point shot. He was a terrible three-point shooter 2 years ago, but now he's won some games for him with threes. And I remember Chicago, he made 7 threes in the game, and everybody kept letting him take it. But now he's if he's not going to hit it, he's only going to take a few. But all of a sudden, he'll give you 2 or 3 in a game, and the Warriors are tough to beat when he's starting to score like that. But he's arguably their best rebounder. Andrew Bogut, when he's in there, and Andrew's not going to play as many minutes. But Draymond Green works in this series with Houston with a triple-double every night. Game 1, he has 13, 12, and 8. 13 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. I can go down the line, 12, 8, 7 in Game 2. I've written these things down because 17, 13, 5, 21, 15, 4 last night. So he's averaging over 6 assists a game. He's averaging somewhere around 15 points a game, and he's averaging double-figure rebounds. He's pretty remarkable. But he's just one of the pieces of the puzzle. And so it's been a great ride, winning 67 games this year. It's a very, very rare thing for a team to do. Young players growing, getting better, sacrificing and playing the right way. And we hope it culminates in an NBA championship.
How do you think they'll match up against Cleveland? I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be Cleveland.
Well, nobody matches up with LeBron James.
Yeah.
And that's going to be very tough for them because, he's not a great shooter. He's not shooting well from three-point range this postseason. But he is LeBron James.
Yeah.
Still getting over little bronchitis here.
I was going to say, he also seems to run the court like a coach.
Pardon?
I said he runs the court, the players almost, when he's bringing the team down, almost like the coach on the floor. I mean, David,
Yes, but there's nobody like him ever seen in the NBA. But we don't have to talk about LeBron James. We know he does anything he wants on a basketball floor, and if he's shooting well, they're going to win the game. You hope that he's not having a great shooting night. You hope that J.R. Smith doesn't have a game where he's going to, knock down 10 threes, which he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
He's also capable of missing 10 of them in a row.
Is Kyrie Irving coming back?
Excuse me?
Well, is Kyrie Irving coming back in time?
well, he's been playing. It's just that he's not at full strength. He's banged up. He's got the knee problem.
Yeah, he missed the last game. I have no idea if he's
Yeah.
coming back or not. Nobody knows all that because
Yeah.
unless you're a team doctor in Cleveland.
Well, that leads me, I should say, to the next question, which is one thing that really bothers me, Jim, about this is we want to see the best play this time of year, and yet the season is so darn long. These guys, and they're playing on adrenaline, and they're pushing themselves so hard. You see so many injuries. I mean, between Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love and Kyle Korver, and we had a near miss there with Stephen Curry the other night. It just seems like guys are breaking down, and this is the time of year where you want them at full strength. And
you're hitting a sore subject for me for this reason. Because I played 11 years in the league, and we played 82 games.
Yeah.
Okay, and we went to the playoffs, and we had miserable travel conditions, flying on commercial airlines, flying the next day at 6:30 in the morning, plane delays. We didn't have the great hotel accommodations. They never fed us like they do today. I can't explain it.
I think I can actually. I think it's because the players are bigger and stronger, and an ankle hasn't really evolved, so to speak.
Good point.
I hate to say that, but there are guys. I don't think anybody's any bigger or stronger than Will Chamberlain.
Yeah, I was just going to say, except for Will.
Okay, so and there were big, strong guys, and you're hard on your ankles and all that kind of stuff. It's just, and they get better treatment now. They ice themselves down. I can't explain it, but it happens. Okay, now you're going to think I'm nuts. Okay, some things don't always improve. Guys are slipping all over the floors.
Yeah, that's true.
You know why? Because they make shoes nowadays where they don't bring the rubber up around this edge, and they make it synthetic, and it's plastic, and everybody falls on their ass, and they're wondering why, but they don't do anything about it.
Well, that's why they're getting hurt, too.
They don't do anything about it. The only guy that I know that got hurt doing that was DeMar DeRozan, who tore his groin because he slipped just like he was on, just like a ski.
I did that
skiing edge. And yet, they keep wearing the shoes, and no one does something about it. And I will tell you this, Steph Curry's Under Armour shoes, 2 years ago, he was doing that, and he said he's slipping all over the place. That's a direct quote. And I said, well, Steph, look at your shoes. You know why? I said, you got to bring your rubber up. And I've got pictures of it. And they changed his shoes, and they brought the rubber up on his heel on either side, and then it solved the problem. But now he's flipping on the front part of the shoe because it's plastic up there, and the rubber comes up, and I'm talking 1/8 of an inch.
Wow.
And it has
1/8 of an inch. And guess what, guys? This may be news to you, but you don't play NBA basketball flat-footed.
That's for sure.
Well, unless you're Andrew Bogut.
You're turning, you're turning the corner, and so anyway, I can't address the injuries and all that kind of thing, but it's still an 82-game schedule, like everybody else, like they play now. I will say this, all we had to do when I played with the Warriors back in the 70s is win one round, and you're already in the Western Conference Finals. So there were fewer playoff games.
Yeah, that's true. What about the floor, though? The floor seems a little bit more slippery.
The floor is
too.
not slippery at all.
No? Okay.
The floor is not slippery at all. You could go out there and wear old Converse or Adidas, and the floor, it's never water on the floor. It's fine.
It's funny because they make all this new technology with these shoes, and they rave about them, and they charge people, hundreds of dollars, and it turns out they're more.
The engineers are making the shoes that never played basketball, and they're making them to look good, so they look really good. Kind of like the AAU players who now take one year in college and they think they're ready for the NBA because what a move he makes, and the guy, makes this up and down every move, and then bangs the ball off the backboard because you can't put the damn ball in the net.
Yeah.
Great, what a move. The name of the game is to put the friggin' ball in the basket.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, I think you've got your second career is inventing shoes.
I'm getting upset talking about all this stuff and all the little things.
Okay, well here let's get you upset one more time. What do you think about all this hack it they used to call it hack a shack?
Well, I could see why a coach would do it, and I could see why they did to Josh Smith last night when he goes 3 of 12 from the line. But I don't like it for the game. And people say, well, can't they practice? Yes, folks, they practice. Andres Biedrins shot 17% one year from the free throw line.
I remember that.
And if you go to him in practice, he hits 75 out of 100.
Yeah.
He gets on the floor, and it's a psychological thing.
Well, I'm going to guess also it's the psychological thing, but also it's when you're running up and down the court and then suddenly you have to stop and take free throws. That's a little different than just shooting around and then just practicing free throw after free
You
throw.
never played basketball, have you? I'm sorry to be,
That's okay.
I tell you.
I know they're professionals, but
Rick Barry had to run up and down the floor, didn't he? He shot 90%.
Yeah.
okay. So I'm just talking about two guys then. So the rest
You know what it reminds me of, Jim? It reminds me of golfers who get a great drive and then a nice approach shot, and then they get and then they get the yips and they miss the putts. It's the same.
Okay, wait.
Hey guys, I'm getting a call from
Okay, and we got to cut you off too. Okay, thanks, Jim. We appreciate you being with us again.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Jim Barnett, of course, is the Warriors TV analyst, and we should mention that he played in the league for 11 years, and we didn't have a chance to talk to him about this, but I will say this. He played with Pete Maravich in New Orleans, Rick Barry here in the Bay Area, Elvin Hayes in San Diego, Clyde Frazier in New York, and finally Dr. J
I love Dr.
in
J.
Philadelphia. I mean, he was the Forrest Gump of the NBA.
Okay, tell you what,
Yeah.
we don't have time for a commercial break. Trivia question. We'll come back.
Okay.
We'll ask it quickly and answer it next
That sounds good.
Okay, you're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was
All
gonna say
right.
we're way over.
Yeah, that's all right. Jim Phil's there. We don't have to worry about that.
yeah.
He's so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm kind of low energy today.
No,
man.
no, you're fine. No, he's great.
He's having a good time. It's funny. I don't think he's traveling with. No, I don't. I'm not sure if he is traveling with it on the road. I think he is, but the thing is, Comcast is not carrying the games. The network's carrying games ever since the first round.
Yeah.
So, but he does a pre and post game show on Comcast. So after the game, before the game, they do a pre and post, and I think they have Papa on there, and I'm not sure who else is on there with him. Somebody else. I never watch it. It's like he says, he doesn't listen to KNBR.
Sure.
I listen to KNBR only because I'm in my car, but I flip around and listen to the game too. And I listen to our station occasionally.
I was gonna say, and then if you're on.
Well, I don't like. I don't like. If I want news, I go to NPR. I hate to say it, and KGO just gives headlines.
Listen to our business show on Talk 9 Talent Saturday.
I've never heard 910 to be honest with you. I listen to radio for sports and for news. That's it. Yeah, I wish I've become more business oriented because of my buddy who owns real estate. He's got the stock market thing on TV all the time, so I'm kind of picking that up from osmosis or by osmosis. And through necessity, because we're going to be facing some slippery times economically ourselves here. So we got to, luckily we're in good shape now. But you never know.
You got to prepare.
Yeah, you got to prepare.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Well, that was fun with Jim.
Jim is one of those guys you don't have to worry about, as we say in our profession, dead air. He'll fill it, and he'll fill it with interesting topics and with a lot of enthusiasm. And he's right. I mean, the NBA playoffs are a lot of fun. I just think it's way too long. But if you're a fan of one of the teams that's involved, you don't care. You're having a great time. Bring it on.
He always seems so serious.
Well, he loves basketball. I mean, he got into, as a player, he was out of the game after retiring in the mid-'70s and then did not come back and get involved in the sport until the mid-'80s. So he was in private business, and then he sort of got back into it by accident. Now he's been doing television as an analyst for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, he knows the game well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's very enjoyable to watch TV and listen to him. Who's the sidekick?
Bob Fitzgerald does the play-by-play.
He does a very good job.
Yeah.
Okay, second trivia question. We didn't get a chance to do it before the break, so we'll do it now. I know you'll know the answer.
I hope so.
Who was drafted by the Warriors in 1988? Scored over 20,000 points and averaged 21 points per game, and won an NBA championship in 2002. So obviously he wasn't with the Warriors at that time.
Right, 1988.
1988, he was drafted by the Warriors.
So he's been playing. He'd been playing by the time he won his first NBA championship. 14 years. Robert Parrish.
No.
No. Robert
Okay,
Parrish
I'll
was
give you a
like-
hint. He was 19.
No, that's way.
1989,
Parrish was in
Rookie of the
70s.
Year.
1989 Rookie of the
Yeah,
Year.
so he was drafted in 1988 by the
I'm just-
Warriors.
And then he was an 1989 Rookie.
89 Rookie of the Year.
with
so
the Warriors.
I'm probably sure. Yeah, because if he was drafted by them, I think he played.
Well,
with
oh,
them.
Chris Mullin.
No.
No.
Come on, keep going.
Not Mitch. Not Mitch.
Yes.
Mitch
yes,
Richmond.
Mitch Richmond.
Mitch Richmond. There you go. Yes,
There you
that's
go.
right. Because he was only with the Warriors for 2 years, and they traded him.
Seemed like he was on
They
it.
traded him to Sacramento for Billy Owens, and because they needed more height. And the problem was that, Billy Owens was a decent player, but they broke up what was called Run TMC. Mitch
Yeah.
Richmond, Chris Mullin, and Tim Hardaway, and they broke up an exciting team. The Warriors were still very good without him. They made the playoffs, but it wasn't the same. And Mitch Richmond went on to have a great career. And he's a good guy too.
Is he?
Really good,
Yeah.
really good guy.
We'll have
Yeah,
to have him on sometime.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember Tim Hardaway. Boy, he could bang those 3-pointers.
And another guy that the Warriors traded because
Yeah.
he got injured, and then Latrell Sprewell came along and sort of supplanted him. Unfortunately, Latrell Sprewell, as good as he was, wasn't Tim Hardaway, and then he had his problems with PJ Carlesimo during the miserable 1990 years when the Warriors stunk, and that kind of was the epitome of how things were going for the Warriors.
As a hint, don't choke your coach. That's not a good thing. That's one way to get traded.
And you know, it's interesting. Ever since Latrell Sprewell went away from the Warriors, you haven't heard a whole lot about him. You remember
he did really well in New York.
But it was a very brief period of time, only a couple of years, and then he kind of disappeared. His famous quote was something when he was holding out, "I got to make money for my kids."
Yeah,
or
he's making
whatever.
like $100 million or
Yeah,
something.
it's
Yeah,
like-
I got to feed my family.
Well, it wasn't that much, but I mean, he was getting like $10 million a year or something like that. And he was complaining.
Chump change.
Yeah, and then he had his kid get bitten by his pet pit bull, and there was just there's all sorts of stuff going on behind the scenes that it wasn't pretty. Funny thing was, Latrell Sprewell, I got to know him again because I covered that team pretty well. Seemed like a pretty nice guy, but he had, unfortunately, some off-court problems that,
Well, who's the guy who just got released by the Bears who used Ray McDonald?
Oh, you're talking about the former 49er defensive lineman. Yeah, well, that's another story. I mean,
But it's interesting. In the old days, they kind of didn't care what you did
Well,
in the off season.
everything is instantly transmitted today, and I think, unfortunately, also today, and I'm not saying this is there's more evidence of it today than before, but it just seems like, in general, young guys and older people also are more tense, more uptight. The world is moving at a faster pace. Everybody wants their gratification now. Everybody wants to make it now. They want it to be instant millionaires now.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the problems with sports, and I think it's one of the problems with American society. Is it going to change? No, it's not, and it's being exacerbated by all of our 21st century media, which is beautiful and does a lot of good things, but the flip side of that is it makes us very impatient and distracted.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my sermonette for the day.
But also the tolerance issue. Certain things used to be tolerated.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not condemned.
Well,
but
they were
tolerated.
maybe tolerated, but also I think, as I said, everything wasn't under the microscope. Now everybody has got, not everybody, but 90% of the people out there probably have their own private broadcast, device with the iPhone. And everybody can film it, put it on YouTube. I mean, nothing is sacrosanct or able to be private anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
anyway.
Almost a checks and balances, but depending upon what angle you do, like sometimes even watching basketball, they're even announcing that.
And everything. It's like 5 different angles. Everything has to be in HD. That's only been around for like 11 years, and it's people are so spoiled today. And it's amazing to me as an older person. I say I'm in my 60s now. How quickly things have changed in the last 10 years. And think about it. The next 10 years, we're going to see some changes that are going to make the last 10 years look like nothing.
It's funny, and I may get this person wrong, but it was someone like Voltaire or somebody in the 1700s who said, and again, for those of you who know your history better than I, don't write me on this.
You're talking about the French author and satirist.
But let's put it this way: there was somebody in the 1700s at one point said, "You know what? We don't need to issue any more patents. Everything that's important that needs to be invented has already been invented." And that was before planes, computers, and cars. It's amazing. So that's why I don't even say that today.
No, you can't.
He can't. In fact, Bill Gates apparently had said he couldn't think, this is back in the late 70s, early 80s. He says, I can't even imagine a computer program that would need more than 640K.
Yeah. Well, think about somebody who grew up, say, around the turn of the century and was in there about my age in the 1960s when the space program started.
Oh, yeah.
And think about them when they first saw man landing on the moon.
I remember that. I was
yeah,
July 20,
well,
1969.
That's
we were
right.
around the TV.
I was 17 years old. I watched all the Gemini shots as a kid. John Glenn was a hero of mine.
Mine too.
It just, growing up with that, it was pretty exciting. But for my parents, it was really exciting. And for their parents, it was like, whoa, this is like, Jules Verne or, H.G. Wells. So,
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
Pretty interesting. Talk just a little bit of football here.
Yeah.
The good old Deflate Gate.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think it's kind of interesting that the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken, they may actually save some money, even though they paid, let's say, what, $1 million fine, if they don't have to pay Brady because of any suspensions.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works, but $1 million for the owner is chump change. And to me, I understand why they're doing this, but at the same time, I mean, really, come on, you have more serious issues to deal with than the ball being underinflated by a tiny, almost indiscernible amount.
Was it only for him? I mean,
we don't know. There's never been any detailed information about this.
What they could do is go back to the films and film
even
who was, when the balls were being brought in each time.
Reportedly, it was two guys, and allegedly, Brady knew about it, but there's no proof. So, unfortunately, the Patriots have had.
The Spygate, is that what
they've had the Spygate, and Aaron Hernandez was on the team. And he's just a bad seed. The guy that everybody knows about, Aaron Hernandez, I'm sure, but if you don't, he was convicted of murder. So, I mean, I think, unfortunately, when you have those kind of things that were going on, and another thing pops up, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. It's kind of like, being a criminal who has been caught a couple of times and given, a stern warning, your minor problems here, but then you come back a third time. It's sort of like 3 strikes and you're out. So I think that the league felt they had to do something, and that a lot of people don't like the Patriots.
I wonder how much of a tarnish it'll be on Brady.
I don't think it'll. I don't think the fans will make that big a deal about it, and I don't think the media, even though they've made a lot of noise about it because it's a story, when you look back at his career 4 or 5 years from now when he does retire, they'll talk about it, but it's not going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. No chance.
Yeah, and
no chance.
They're also not going to take the Super Bowl win away.
No, they're not going to take all those championships away. No, they're not. It's not like taking steroids. It's not like cheating on the game in terms of taking a dive like the Black Sox in 1919.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that bad. But
what about Reggie Bush he got the Heisman taken away?
Well, that's a different story, because under the table payments. I mean, that's sacrosanct. That's not your amateur status and so on. I mean, yeah, he can still walk.
But it's funny because in that case, taking payments for what? I mean, he didn't throw a game. Okay, I'm going to try harder this game for a bonus. I mean, okay.
Hey, listen, you're preaching to the choir here. I think the whole thing about college sports always talks about how it's the amateur status and so on. And hey, let's face it, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and we've known about this. These athletes, a lot of them have to take payments just to survive because a lot of them are from very poor, disadvantaged backgrounds, and they're just trying to pay the basics. And when you're a student athlete in college, you're not only taking a full load of classes, but you're also working out and playing. Many hours a day. It's not like being a regular student. And I understand they get a lot of benefits, but you tell me that a 19 or 20-year-old kid has to pretty much give up most of his life to play at that level, and they do. And I'm again, these are the elites, and the elite of the elite make it to the pros.
Yeah, that's why I think it's one thing to say if a guy takes a dive. Like in fact, it was in Sports Illustrated talking about Sonny Liston in 50 years.
Oh yeah, that was just the other day. Sonny Liston versus Muhammad Ali called it the anchor punch actually, the anchor punch, and he said it with a little twinkle in his eye. And that was an interesting story because there were allegations that Sonny Liston had ties with the mafia, that Sonny Liston had to take the dive, otherwise they got him. And of course, a couple of years later, he dies under mysterious circumstances. That was really a cracking time because Muhammad Ali had just become Muhammad Ali and was just embarking on this incredible career. And Sonny Liston was at his peak. you know, bad guy, heavyweight champion, down he goes. That was kind of the beginning of the end, a quick end for him.
Wow.
Some great stuff, though. You know, I remember listening to the radio broadcast because those games used to be those bouts used to be broadcast on network radio, and the guy who was doing the play-by-play was none other than our San Francisco Giants play-by-play announcer and the guy who called the Bobby Thompson shot heard around the world, Russ Hodges.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
used to do boxing.
He used to do boxing. He did it on television. He did it on radio. And it's interesting. I heard a copy of that broadcast. A friend of mine has a copy of it. And the actual knockout, you can't really, his voice gets sort of overwhelmed by the noise. And he comes back about 10 seconds later and tells what happened. But you hear his voice rising, and then all of a sudden, he's not cut off, but he's sort of overwhelmed. The crowd is going crazy.
Down goes Liston. Down goes
Yeah, he
Liston.
he didn't say that. He just, all of a sudden, it's almost like he's doing this, like he's pulling
coming
away from
back.
Mike.
Oh.
Yeah. But I think it was the crowd.
What was it? Down goes Frazier?
Down goes Frazier.
Frazier.
That was Howard Cosell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Howard Cosell was at that fight, by the way, the Liston Muhammad Ali fight, and he was kind of lurking in the background because he was doing some work for I believe, his television or radio station in New York at the time.
You know, it's funny. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked Howard.
Oh, Howard Cosell
He was
changed
an
sports.
attorney.
He changed sportscasting forever. I got a good Howard Cosell story. I'll tell you after
Okay,
the
but
next break.
because we got to cut the break
Yeah.
now. When we come back, you're going to tell us a quick story.
Quick
and then
story.
we're gonna cut
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
All right, so here's our third basketball question. Who attended Notre Dame and drafted in 1976 by the Buffalo Braves? I don't even remember the Buffalo Braves.
They later moved out and became, who did they Buffalo Braves become?
The Atlanta Hawks.
No, Atlanta came from St. Louis. Buffalo went, where did they go? I'll have to think
I'll
about
have
that.
to think about that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Okay, so he retired with a 24.3 point per game average and had one of the highest field goal percentages by a non-center with an average of .540.
And what year was this?
1976 he was
Oh.
drafted.
Okay,
And I know you know this guy.
okay.
Okay?
I
So again,
should.
he attended Notre Dame, drafted in 1976 by the Buffalo Braves, retired with a 24.3 point game average, and had one of the highest field goal percentages by a non-center with an average of .540. That's not too bad.
No.
Okay, stay with us. We'll have some closing comments on Sports Econ 101.
The Buffalo Braves became, they moved back out, let's see, the Clippers. They became the San Diego Clippers, which became the LA Clippers. That's right.
That's how I.
Because San Diego originally had the Rockets, they became the Houston Rockets, and then the Buffalo Braves moved to, pretty sure that's it.
See all the baseball stuff I remember? I didn't follow basketball back then.
I got into basketball in the mid-'60s. My dad took me in a couple games, and I just became the Warriors were pretty good then, too. They had some great teams. They went to the finals in '64, and they went to the finals again in '67.
You know, just give away Wilt Chamberlain.
Well, they had Chamberlain and Thurman. That was the problem. They had two centers, and Thurman was the younger one, and also it was a matter of money. And Franklin Mulley didn't want to pay him. And Philadelphia was his hometown, and it was a perfect fit. The only thing was they got a decent package of players for him, but it didn't turn out to be a fair deal. Yeah. And ironically, Chamberlain and the Sixers beat the Warriors a few years later in the finals. Great series, too. And Brett Berry was a second-year player then. And Nate was just in his prime, just like in his fifth year. So it was a great
Ready?
series, yeah.
Okay, we'll give the answer and you give your
Okay.
hotel.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here was our third and final trivia question. Who attended Notre Dame and drafted in 1976 by the Buffalo Braves, retired with 24.3 point per game average, and had one of the highest field goal percentages by a non-center with an average of .540?
I'm going to say Adrian Dantley.
Yes, very good.
Well, he went on to play with the Jazz and was quite a player. Got to tell you the quick
Okay,
Cosell story. So I'm working in Seattle, and this is the late '70s in radio. And first Monday night game ever played in Seattle, Cosell and his crew come up, and I wanted to do an interview with him, and he wouldn't do it right away. But he said, you can ride in the limo with me and interview Chet Forte, who was the very well-known director. So I did an interview with Chet Forte. We get to the King Dome. Howard does his commentary about the halftime play-by-play highlights, does it within 2 minutes, a 2-minute perfect take. And then he looks at me and he says, young man, what did you think of that? And I said, well, I think what's going to happen here, Howard, if I don't bring an interview back to the radio station, I'm going to get in trouble. So he was nice enough to do the radio interview with me. And long story short, every time I'd see him, and I went to several Monday night games in years following that in Oakland and San Francisco, I'd run into him, and he was always very friendly. And said, "Hey, how's Seattle treating you, young man?" I said, "Well, I'm no longer in Seattle. I moved back to the Bay Area."
Yeah,
but
he remembered you though.
oh, well,
Very
yeah,
nice.
yeah, he was a nice guy. I
Well,
mean,
you're
to me, he
one of
was.
the taller reporters. Too.
Well, he was a tall guy. He was about 6'2". He
yeah,
kind
but
of
I mean,
kind of
all
slouched
the
over.
other reporters probably aren't too big.
Well, it always worked my advantage because I had long arms. I could reach around everybody with my microphone.
Yeah. All right, thanks for
Yeah.
that story. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. Age is no barrier. It's a limitation you put on your mind, said Jackie Joyner Kersey.
Oh.
And the only way to prove that you're a good sport is to lose. Who said that?
Boy, that's a good one. I don't know.
Ernie Banks.
Oh,
A man who knew a lot about
oh,
losing,
boy,
unfortunately.
did he ever? What a nice guy. He just,
Very nice guy, just passed.
yeah,
Did
no,
he ever play in a good team?
yeah. The 1969 Cubs were in first
Oh,
place,
that's right.
and
That's
then
beat him.
Mets beat him out, yeah.
That's the first year they had the inter.
the divisional
Division,
play.
there
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Okay, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective, giving away more free vacations for answering sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long. All right.
All right. So this is for me. This is the
Yeah, yes,
okay.
that one, and then I'll get the other one when
Oh,
it comes.